Thank you everyone for joining us after our How Do I Start With My Green Cart Compost. Take it away, Director Crooms. Thank you everyone for joining us after our How Do I Start With My Green Cart Compost. Take it away, Director Crooms.
I can, but there's really, the music is in the background really loud.
Oh no, sorry. Thank you everyone for joining us after our... You still hearing an echo?
Nope, we're good.
All right.
All right, welcome everyone to the Department of the Environment's Curbside Composting Seminar. My name is Andrea Crooms. I'm the Director of the Department of Environment here in Prince George's County. I'm so excited that you are here to join us to learn more about the program, to have all your burning questions answered. I'm going to hand it right over to Denise Curry in our RRD division, who's going to give you some of the basics of composting. But a few housekeeping notes while you're here is that this is being live streamed. It's also being recorded. For those who need it, there is an ASL interpreter with us, Catherine. And there is also the ability to turn on the captions at the bottom of your screen. There's an option that says show captions. And so if that would be helpful to you, you can enable those now as well. And I'll hand it over to Denise.
Thank you, Director Crooms. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We appreciate you joining us for the Department of the Environment Resource Recovery Division Curbside Composting Seminar. We're going to advance, please. In this seminar, you will learn some of the benefits to our natural environment by participating in the food scrap composting program. How to reduce waste by using the green cart, how to properly prepare your green cart for collection, what food scraps may be put in your kitchen pail, and what non-food items can be placed in your green cart. Beyond that, you'll find out what happens to those materials once they're collected. Next slide, please. Waste diversion and food scrap composting. Removing valuable materials from the waste stream is known as waste diversion. It includes practices like reusing or repurposing old items, recycling, and composting. When these practices are implemented, we are taking significant action to protect and preserve the environment. Food scrap composting is just one of several components of the county's waste management arsenal. A recent waste study determined that food was 34% of what was being disposed in the county's landfill. Removing this material creates the opportunity to save space in the landfill, produce a high-quality, completely organic soil conditioner, and generate revenue to offset the cost of the compost facility's operations. Next slide, please. What are some of the benefits of waste diversion and food scrap composting? Well, because food scraps can be combined with yard trim for pickup on Mondays, it provides another waste collection service without increasing truck traffic through our communities. It lowers the production of greenhouse gases generated at the landfill because when food decomposes in the landfill, it produces methane. Methane is a powerful gas. It contributes to climate change. When food is diverted from landfilling and made into compost, methane production is prevented. Composting every meal, every scrap, every Monday leads to the production of a valuable soil conditioner known as Leaf Grow Gold, which is produced exclusively in Prince George's County. It's sold in bulk to commercial landscapers and local garden centers. So now that we have a better understanding of the benefits of the program, let's take a look at how to get started.
Congratulations! You have received your PGC Compost Green Cart and are now ready to compost every meal, every scrap, every Monday. Upon receiving your cart, please be sure to open and retrieve your countertop kitchen pail. Located inside is your welcome packet filled with important information regarding the PGC Compost program. Inside, you will receive a 3 Easy Steps flyer outlining the composting procedures, information about using compostable bags if you choose to, a frequently asked question sheet answering any additional questions you may have regarding the composting program, and a What Can I Compost magnet. This magnet serves as a handy reminder of acceptable items that can be placed in your compost bin. After you have placed all of your food scraps in the wheeled green cart, remember to place it curbside on Mondays only by 6 a.m. for pickup. Do not place your mini kitchen pail at the curb. For more information on Prince George's County curbside composting, visit mypgc.us/compost.
All right, that was a great overview. Let's take a look at the materials in our welcome packet. There's first a 3-step flyer, which outlines the composting process. There's information about using bags or liners. The PGC Compost frequently asked questions, and a magnetic guide depicting the items that may be placed in your compost bin. Now let's explore what's accepted. Acceptable food items include fruits and vegetables, seafood and shellfish, tea bags and loose tea, coffee grounds and filters, eggs and egg shells, dairy products, including cheese and yogurt, meat and bones, leftovers, bread, pasta, and grains. Now, acceptable items also mean that we can accept the peels, the rinds, the spoiled fruit, the apple cores, the lemon peels, the watermelon rinds, the pineapple skins, onion peels, corn husks, and cobs. We also accept crab shells because we're going to have our crab feast this summer. You can put those crab shells, clam shells in your compost bin. The bones from your chicken, your steaks, your ribs, all of those things are accepted. The only thing that we really want to emphasize is no liquids. Liquids will deteriorate your compost liners if you use them, and they make a mess in the bottom of your cart. So please, no liquids. There are some materials that are non-food items that are also accepted. These items include paper towels and napkins, paper ice cream containers, pizza boxes, newspaper, yard trim, uncoated paper bags, uncoated paper plates, and food soiled paper. And when we say these paper towels and paper napkins, those things help to absorb the moisture that is often present when food begins to break down. In addition to those, we accept yard trim. Yard trim includes grass clippings, leaves, brush, small branches, and Christmas trees. Paper yard trim bags are also helpful. Next slide, please. How do we prepare for collection? Residents may choose to line their wheel cart with a compostable liner, a paper yard trim bag, or another absorbent material, such as the paper towels, paper napkins, pizza boxes, or leaves to help soak up the moisture that is created when food begins to decompose. Please, 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 food scraps must be placed in the green cart for collection. Do not place your kitchen pail at the curb, as the materials will not be collected from this container. Your container may be picked up, but it will not be returned to you. So please do not place your pail at the curb, nor should you place it in your green cart for collection, as it will be collected and disposed of with its content. That kitchen pail is, once again, not replaceable. There is only one pail issued per household. Acceptable compostable bags. The most sustainable option is to not use a compostable liner or bag. But if you choose to, the bag must be compostable. The bag and its packaging will indicate home compostable or commercially, industrially compostable, and both or all are accepted. Bags that are biodegradable but not compostable are not accepted. Biodegradable and compostable are not necessarily the same thing and perform differently in the composting process. Things to look out for, or labels to look out for when you're purchasing bags, include the BPI symbol. It says BPI compostable. It also indicates commercially compostable. Anything that is home compostable will also be accepted in the industrial setting. So you can see OK compost, composter approved, and compostable in industrial facilities. Those BPI and other labels are accepted. However, under no circumstance is a traditional plastic bag accepted. On this page, you see representations of liners that may be used to collect and secure your materials. These brands have been tested in our system and perform very well. There are others in the marketplace that also perform well. These are examples of some that you can use. However, if you need additional information of acceptable liners and bags, visit mypgc.us/compost. Let's prepare our yard trim for collection. Yard trim may be placed loose in the green cart, in a paper yard trim bag, or in a can with a tight-fitting lid that is clearly labeled and dedicated solely to yard trim collection. Yard trim includes grass clippings, leaves, small branches, brush, live and cut Christmas trees are collected January through December. Now, excuse me, let's see how we'll prepare our compost bin without a bag or liner. If your preference is to prepare materials without using a liner, try using paper products to help absorb the moisture associated with food as it breaks down. Items such as the soiled paper towels and paper napkins, pizza boxes, and newspaper all help to absorb moisture. Liners, again, are optional. They're not required for collection of food scraps or use in your kitchen or green cart. Look closely at the image of the green cart. The materials are alternated when placed inside without the use of a liner. It's similar to making a lasagna. The materials are layered in the cart to assist with the absorption of moisture and help to contain the odors. The first layer is a cardboard box with some pizza and some grease on it. The next layer is some more food and maybe a little paper product. And then the next layer is some brush and newspaper and some grass. All of that helps to absorb the moisture and contain your odors. If you have concern with odors, the use of baking soda in the bottom of the kitchen pail or on top of the materials as they are added may be helpful. Or you may choose to purchase a charcoal filter that can be affixed under the lid of your compost pail or cart. There's also the option to freeze your materials and place them in the cart on the morning of collection. In the following video, Director Crooms will provide greater detail with respect to preparation.
So most folks only compost vegetables in their home composting. So we're still doing that. So as folks are, preparing for dinner, they can go ahead and they can compost all of their food scraps that they're cutting off of their vegetables. But what's new about doing industrial composting is that in addition to that, we can take all sorts of other food items that you can't traditionally take in your backyard composting.
Okay, so I see like what we do in Maryland, crabs.
Of course.
We're gonna have the crabs, but
Right.
what can we do with that?
So absolutely. So, at the industrial scale, we can take crab shells, we can take clam shells, we can take oyster shells. So one really easy thing to do is rather than using a plastic tablecloth as you're doing your backyard crab feast, or if you're doing all your newspapers, after everybody eats, you can just wrap that up and put that straight into the composting cart. And we will, again, break that down, that'll break down into that wonderful soil amendment.
Okay, and then I see some bones over there. Can we put bones?
Yeah, exactly. So you can put pretty much anything in the compost bin. So I see like 3 places where we're actually going to compost at home. One, when we're getting ready, right? So we're making our, we're making our vegetables and we're tossing them straight into the bin. 2, after dinner, we're telling everyone, scrape the plate. So, whatever your leftovers are, here it's some chicken bones and some vegetables that the kids didn't eat, can go straight into that composting pail and then outdoors into the composting cart. And in fact, this is a compostable piece of silverware.
Toss that
so
right
it can
in.
go in there too. Yeah, and then the other thing is, when you're cleaning out the fridge or doing whatever's at the end of the day, your coffee grounds, right in the coffee filter can go in there.
Okay.
Rotten fruits, old, leftovers.
The Chinese takeout.
The old Chinese takeout. Now, we don't want the container on this because it's got some wax on it, but you just dump the Chinese takeout right in there, and then you would just get rid of the container with your regular trash. And pretty much anything, I mean, meat that's gone bad in the refrigerator or leftover, bones after dinner. Dairy, so I had this may have been in my fridge for about 4 months.
We've
yogurt,
all found
so
those
I can
in the
just,
back of the fridge.
Huh?
We've all found those in the back of the fridge.
Exactly. So then I can just dump the, kind of grow to yogurt straight into my pail, and I can just put this in the recycling bin. So there's just we can get rid of everything. Yeah, dairy as well. So I also found some moldy cheese in the fridge. That can also, it would have to come out of the container, go straight into the pail, and then that'll be composted as well, and then the bag goes in the trash.
So I see you're putting it in the composting bin with a liner in there. Obviously, probably smart to put a liner of some sort.
Well, I think it's up to folks. We encourage folks not to use a liner, but obviously when I'm cleaning out the fridge at the end of the week, I do tend to decide to use a liner. But most of the time, what I like to do is just put some paper towels right in the bottom of the pail. And then, the stuff that's not going to get terribly gross, I just put it straight in there. I mean, and then I can just dump this at the end of the night or after dinner so that I don't have to keep it in the kitchen. You do have to find a place in your life for the pail, right? So some folks keep it on their counter. I'm not going to keep trash on my counter. So I keep mine under the sink, and then I just pull it out when I'm prepping. The nice thing also is it's small enough it can go in the bottom level of the dishwasher. And so anytime mine gets gross, because I tend not to use the liners, I just put it in the dishwasher.
So easily attainable. Okay, so then with your program in Prince George's County, every resident gets the big bin outside.
Correct.
Okay.
So over the next year, we're going to be handing them out pretty much on a weekly basis, moving around the county. So all 180,000 households will be part of the program.
Okay.
As part of composting, you can, if you're having a picnic, if you're having a party where you want to use disposable items, you can actually choose disposable items that can be composted. So these are bamboo forks and knives. Chopsticks are always compostable. Even straws, if they say home compostable on them, they can go right into the composting too. These little things they give you from Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
And, my favorite, wine corks, can all go straight into the composting bin. So it's really important that when folks are choosing items that they want to be able to compost, that they make sure that they are appropriately labeled. So there is a label on items that are compostable, whether it is the food scrap bags, or whether it is these disposable serviceware items, they will have a label on them that says home compostable. And as long as they say home compostable on them, we can accept them 100% to our facility, and they'll again be broken down to the same material at the end.
Thank you so very much. This was so educational. Thank you.
Thanks.
For more information on this brand new program in Prince George's County, visit mypgc.us/compost.
Thank you, Director Crooms. Now that we've had an in-depth look and understanding of what is accepted and how to get started, let's take a look at unacceptable items. Plastic bags, wrappers or film, styrofoam products, including containers, plastic jugs, plastic bottles, aluminum or steel cans, utensils and pans, aluminum foil, and disposable aluminum pans. Plastic utensils, grease or fat, liquids of any kind, facial or toilet tissue, diapers, pet waste, including cat litter, household trash or litter, kitchen pots or pans, foil-backed or plastic-backed paper bags, and ceramic dishes or plastic dishes, glass of any kind, milk cartons or raisin canisters. These two people tend to question, but milk cartons are generally waxed and raisin canisters are foil lined. Next slide, please. Let's look at collecting our compostables. This is the 32-gallon wheeled green cart. It's clearly labeled with PGC compost and a hot stamp on its lid indicating some of the acceptable materials for this program in English and Spanish. Also depicted is a yellow sticker that none of us want to receive on our cart. You will receive one, however, if there are obvious contaminants placed in your cart. If by chance you receive one of these stickers, your container will be left at the curb for you to remedy until or prepare for the next compost collection. Once again, we want to emphasize that we do not accept plastic bags. They are detrimental to the success of the composting program because they are not compostable. Next slide. We are collecting compostables. Yard trim and food scraps are collected on Mondays only. Place the wheeled compost cart at the curb by 6 a.m. And if by chance you should have a missed collection, you are able to report that to PGC 311 by dialing 311 from either your home phone or your cell phone, as long as you're within the county boundaries, or outside of the county boundaries, you will dial 301-883-4748 between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., or you can reach them online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at the website listed below. And PGC 311 also has a mobile app. It can be downloaded to your cell phone so you can reach them at your will. It's called PGC on the go. Look for it for your mobile phones. Residents may report same-day food scrap concerns after 12 noon on Monday. Now, if you feel as though you have a missed collection, please be sure that you had your materials at the curb prior to the arrival of your contractor. You can't look out and see that, oh, my neighbor's stuff got picked up and now I'm going to dash out and put my cart out there so he can get it when he comes back down. That's not considered a missed collection. Your materials have to be out ahead of the contractor's arrival. Next slide, please. Collecting compostables. Yard trim and food scraps are collected year-round on Mondays only, except for certain holidays. The food-related items must be placed in the county-issued 32-gallon green wheeled cart. Residents may either opt to not participate in diverting their food scraps the week preceding a holiday to avoid the accumulation of food until the next regular collection, or they can choose to freeze their food until the succeeding week's collection. These are three of the upcoming holidays. Memorial Day, May 29th, food scrap collections will not take place. Collection will occur on June 5th. Regular collection will occur on June 3rd on July 3rd, as the July 4th holiday falls on a Tuesday this year. There will be collection on July 3rd, and there will also be collection after the July 4th holiday on July 10th. For Labor Day, regular collections will resume the following Monday on September 11th. Residential compost, food scraps, and yard trim collected curbside is diverted to the county's composting facility by county contracted haulers. The material, food scraps mixed with yard trim, is tipped, meaning empty from the collection truck, in a dedicated area, excuse me, and covered with mulch until it is ground and mixed in preparation for placement in our state-of-the-art in-vessel gore cover system. Once mixed, the materials are placed in heaps under the gore covers for processing. The gore cover technology accelerates the composting process, producing finished compost in 8 to 10 weeks, as opposed to the natural process of 8 to 9 months. This rich soil conditioner is sold in bulk to landscapers and others. Now, as we prepare to take your questions, let's take just a moment to look back. Prince George's County has owned and managed the organics composting facility for nearly 3 decades and was the first county in Maryland to divert yard trim from its landfill via residential curbside collection. Food scrap composting was mandated by the County Council in 2012 by CB 87-2012. Composting began in 2013, a full year ahead of the requirement established by that legislation. Currently, the facility accepts residential, commercial, and institutional food waste and yard trim. For the full background on this nationally acclaimed composting program, please visit mypgc.us/compost. Now, at this point in our presentation, we would like to take your questions. Let me introduce to you Mr. Randolph Wilson. Randy?
Yes, thank you all for
Please
joining
step up.
again.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for that amazing presentation as well, Ms. Denise. First question, Director Crooms and the rest of the panel. What if a resident chooses not to compost? Where can they call to return the compost bin?
Well, so interestingly, the resident also expanded on that question and said that this has been a hot topic at their HOA meeting. So we have 2 options. One, if someone absolutely does not want to compost and does not want to dispose of yard trim in their cart, then we will take their information, reach out to them, and arrange to pick up the cart. However, we always try to convince folks that they can use it for yard trim, even if they're not ready to start with composting yet. And also, if you would like someone from the Department of Environment to come out to your HOA meeting or do a virtual HOA meeting, we're more than happy to do that, to talk through all the advantages with your neighbors and help them, understand, their challenges and their questions, and see if we can get them to also be interested in trying out the program.
Awesome. Second question, how do we get a kitchen pail? It did not come with my green bin. And I can jump in there if you like, Director Crooms, just to address that.
Absolutely.
So primarily, if your equipment did not come with all of the materials, you can always send us an email at pgccompost with the S on the end at co.pg.md.us, and we'll be glad to go ahead and get the missing equipment or materials out to you. Let's see what else we have, Director Crooms. They're jumping. Okay, let's see. Okay. Is there an area designated for residents to drop off compostables at the Brown Station Road facility?
Not at this time, no.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, we do not have a designated location, but as far as yard trim is concerned, if you wish to provide your yard trim, you can always provide it to Site 4 or Station 4 at the landfill. But unfortunately, as far as food scraps are concerned, you would have to participate in the program in order for those to be retrieved. Let's see what else we have. What if you received the green cart but not the food pail? Okay, we just addressed the equipment concern. I did not receive the pail. Let's see. Another wax question. So what constitutes a waxed paper-based food-related product?
The this is Denise. I'll jump in here. There are sometimes sandwiches that we purchase from fast food retailers have waxed coated paper. As we saw in the video with Director Crooms, there was a takeout box that was wax coated.
Right.
Those are the two that come to mind. Some of the, I know, not advertising for anyone in particular, but McDonald's boxes they've removed their wax. So they're on the leading edge of the compost effort and recycling efforts. But there are still some carry-out facilities that use waxed coatings on their papers.
Yeah, I was gonna say McDonald's. Somebody asked specifically about McDonald's and that they are wax free, but generally, if you kind of turn it at an angle and it looks shiny, it probably has wax on it. And also, if you have food in it for like overnight and it doesn't get mushy, it probably has wax on it. Like a lot of the places that I go now have like the brown colored takeout container. And I find that the ones that kind of fold over and are shiny, those ones have wax on them. But the ones that are just paper, and if you, for example, I always get greens and the pot liquor will will sink through it overnight, those ones don't have wax. And so that's, and most pizza boxes don't. I find that most pizza boxes, like if you turn them at the angle, you don't see the shine. So they are okay. Most cups do have wax. So if you're not sure, leave it out. It's one item. It's not the end of the world. But we are seeing folks move on that. And we also expect that both the green guides from the EPA and potentially some state legislation will make it so that it's much more likely that these things are labeled in the future. So we expect, as this becomes more popular, because we are really on the leading edge here, that as this becomes more popular, that most things will start to be labeled. So maybe 2 or 3 years from now, this will be a lot easier than it is now for those of us who are trying to be the leaders in this area. We see that in Europe pretty commonly on the materials now. So I think we'll get there.
Great point. So when in doubt, leave it out. What do you propose to store your garbage in that you freeze? I currently use plastic bags. Uh-oh. See what else we had.
Materials that residents freeze, I line a can with a plastic liner, but I dump it because it's solid. I can slide it out and dump it into my container without the bag. So that may be an option.
Yeah, and as well as the compostable liners, that would be a good second option as well. If you wish to store your items in the refrigerator until collection day, you can always use compostable liners as well. Let's see what else we have. We've been trying for a year to start the compost program. How can we start this year?
Well, everyone who is receiving county trash services will have a cart and a pail by the end of the year. If you are in a municipality or if you receive some other kind of private trash, or you're in a multifamily building where it's private trash, it depends upon who is providing your services. So the county is providing services directly to the folks who directly pay the county, and we hire somebody and we pick up your trash. For the folks who are in other situations, we're seeing that we're trying to support our municipalities in joining the program. And in fact, I live in College Park and I'm part of the program here, so I had to opt into the program. A lot of other municipalities have that option. I think Bowie has that option and had it before us. And so that we're seeing the municipalities join in. We can help support you with technical support if you are in a multifamily building that wants to join in about how you would do that. So we're trying to expand the program beyond the folks that we just serve by providing assistance to other groups.
Okay. Can I continue to use the yard trim bags instead of putting the yard trim or leaves in my green container?
Yes.
Yep, it's fully acceptable. Even though we do encourage for you to utilize your cart, may save on a few of those yard trim bags, you still may utilize your yard trim bags to place your grass clippings, brush, and other vegetative debris in.
And if I may, the yard trim can be dropped off at the Brown Station Road Convenience Center, not at Lot 4, just to be clear. Thank you.
Thank
What
you.
about white paper and shredded paper? Are they composted?
They are. White paper and shredded paper is compostable. However, ideally, those items would go into your recycling bin as opposed to the compost bin.
How can we purchase the finished compost? $1 million question.
Well, some of our local garden centers provide the material. From the site, we sell it in bulk only, a 5 cubic yard minimum, which means you'll need a dump truck if you're going to come down and try to purchase. But there is a list that we can make public or provide on our website of local garden centers who purchase the material from us and sell it to residents or the community.
Do we place the yard trim and compost materials in the same container now, or should they be separated?
All together now.
Well said.
Yeah, there were a couple of questions about this. So to clarify, the green cart can now be used for yard trim. It can be used for composting. It can be used for both at the same time or only one of them. However you want to use it, those things can go into the green cart. So if you got the green cart and you're not ready to compost everything yet, how about you just put your yard trim in it so that you don't have a mushy paper bag outside, and maybe try your pumpkin this year, maybe try, some watermelon rinds, and then move up to, doing more and more composting, because every little bit helps. And so I think that, I want everybody to understand yard trim, compost, all goes in there. But I also want everyone to understand that we know that this is not, we say it's easy. And from like an intellectual perspective, it's pretty, once we get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. But from a life perspective, it actually takes a little while to figure out how this fits into your life. I said that in that video earlier, but I really mean it. It took me probably about 3 months to get it actually to work in my life, where I wasn't leaving it in the house too long and it was getting mushy, gross, where I wasn't, taking it out so often that there wasn't enough of it, that it seemed wasteful, figuring out whether I wanted bags or not, figuring out where to keep my container, figuring out how to clean my containers. A couple folks asked about rinsing the container. I find that, so my husband washes it by hand. He just rinses it out with a little bit of dish soap and it doesn't have a smell. I don't like doing dishes, so I put it in the dishwasher. It doesn't have a smell once it's cleaned out, so it seems to not hold the odors. So yes, rinsing it out, wiping it out, putting it in the dishwasher, whatever you need to do to kind of get it clean and feel comfortable with having it, in your kitchen. Whatever works for you, those options are all on the table. But yeah, it takes a little while. Like you might want to start small and just do the weekly clean out of the fridge, or you might just want to do the kids after dinner, or you just might want to do just the scraps. Whatever it takes for you to start to do this, be kind to yourself and know that we're asking you to add something into your life that we hope will make you feel really good, that you're not wasting this food and that you're a part of something great. But, we do want you to know that we know that it's not snap your fingers and you're a composter. Being a part of this program is making a commitment to the environment and having to figure out how that fits into your already busy enough life. So we really appreciate that you're here and that you're trying it.
Can you compost mayonnaise?
Yeah, I would take that one out right away though, because it's funny because in that video, I'm dumping the yogurt in the bag. If I do that, I take the bag out to the outside bin right away, because things that are wet tends to get gross really fast. So yes, you can compost mayonnaise, but you may find that that's the type of thing that you want to get out into that outside container really quickly.
Awesome. Just to be clear, can we put yard trim in the compost bin? Yes, you may. You may utilize your cart to store yard trim for collection. Let's see what else we have. Director Crumbs. What is the contact info to retrieve the green cart? Okay. Well, if you wish to have your cart retrieved, which I hate to hear, you can always follow up with the PGC Compost email address, which is again PGC Compost with the S on the end at co.pg.md.us. The compost for purchase, is it treated with any organic products?
The compost is not treated. It is all organic, all natural, no chemicals in it at all, which is why it's so spectacular. There's no chemicals in it at all.
Could there be a problem with rodents when composting?
There could be. However, there are steps to take to remediate or keep the critters away. There are a number of options. Not putting your food waste in the container until the morning of collection is one. Placing a heavy object. I use a cinder block on mine to keep Rocky and his friends, the raccoons, out of my compost bin. Another inventive resident has utilized a bungee cord looped around the handle and hooked under the lip of the cart to keep their lid closed. So there are a number of ways to go about it, but ideally, if you're in an area where you may attract rodents, you want to work on keeping the odor down and making it as difficult as possible for them to access your compost. If you're having problems or concerns with that, you probably have problems and concerns with your trash as well. So whatever efforts you take to remediate or deter them from getting in your trash, you might want to take similar efforts if you're putting your food scraps in your compost bin to deter them from accessing it as well.
Awesome. See what else we have here.
There's several folks that said that they didn't receive their pail inside of their bin when they received their bin last year. And one person who their pail got taken away and never got returned, or no, I think the cart. Anyway, there's several folks who have questions about getting the pails themselves. And so please reach out individually to the PGC Compost and we'll follow up with you and make sure you have the equipment and information that you need to participate in the program. If, however, you didn't get a cart at all delivered yet, and no one in your neighborhood, you're not going outside and seeing that to your left and to your right, they have a green cart. It just means that we haven't gotten to your neighborhood yet. And you will receive a postcard between 2 and 4 weeks before you receive a cart, as we're moving through and getting the carts delivered. We have a few left to do in the spring, but the majority will start again in the fall because we split the purchase of the carts over 2 budgets to be fiscally responsible. So once our new budget comes in July, then we'll be able to purchase the remainder of the carts and get them delivered out to folks. So our goal is to have everybody have one by the end of the year.
After participating for a year, my bin is rather yucky. Any tips for rinsing it? I'd rather not rinse near my dog, but also don't want to rinse down the sewer.
I was literally in the process of typing a response to that question. You can use a mild detergent to rinse or wash your cart. There are some in the marketplace that are not detrimental or harmful to the environment. Hose it out, little soap and water, let it air dry a bit, and then toss in some paper, some cardboard, and that will help absorb whatever moisture's left and start all over again.
Okay.
And a small amount of the water going down the drain, it's all natural ingredients anyway. It's not going to really impact the larger nitrogen in the water. It's all right if a little bit goes into the street and down the storm sewer as long as you're using a safe detergent.
can parchment paper be accepted in my cart?
Parchment paper, yes. Wax paper, no.
Let's see. Will there be OP on-premise collection of the green cart? Unfortunately for this program, we do not support on-premise like trash and recycling.
Right.
However, we are attempting to put it in a future contract. So we are trying to find out what the cost would be from our haulers to do that. So our hope is to be able to put that into a future contract. So that's a little bit TBD, but something that we're working on.
Awesome. How can we get a copy of this presentation?
The presentation is being recorded and it is being live streamed. So there will be access available to it once we're finished on our YouTube channel, as well as on our website.
Right. Let's see what else we have here. Could there be a problem with rodents when composting? $1 million question.
There's a question about waxed fruit peels, and those are acceptable with the exception of the ones that are fully wax. So rutabagas and yuccas that have like a ton of wax in them, we'd prefer not to have those. It's not the end of the world if they come in, but we prefer not to have those. But like the wax that's on an apple, like the small, or a cucumber, the small amount of wax that tends to be on vegetables to keep them shelf stable won't impact the process. That's actually a non-petroleum wax. It's a long story, but it will not adversely affect the process.
Uh-oh. I have to call 311 weekly in efforts to get my missed collection picked up. How can this get resolved?
Well, I would like to hear from you because that sounds like a larger problem with a hauler route. And so please reach out to the PGC Compost and we will take this up with your service provider.
Okay. Are there carts with locks on them? If not, will they collect from other bins?
Our carts do not have locks on them. And no, your materials have to be placed at the curb in the wheel green cart. If it's food, if it's yard trim, you can use a dedicated can, clearly labeled yard trim only, with a tight fitting lid. And yes, that will be collected. But if you're placing food scraps out for collection, they must be contained in the wheel cart, the green wheel cart, indicating that it's PGC compost.
Great point, Ms. Denise. I noticed we're approaching 7:30, and unfortunately, I know Ms. Catherine will be departing soon. So just want to advise everybody, all of our sign language friendly participants, please ensure that you get those questions in soon. Thank you.
There's a question here from a resident who said that they freeze their scraps, but it creates condensation as it thaws and it makes their bags moist and they tend to stick to the bottom of the container.
Wow.
I have had some bags remaining in the bin after collection. How do I resolve this issue? If this happens to any of your containers where you have put your cart out at the curb and there's trash or composting or recycling left in the bottom of the container, when you go to pull it back in, please report that to 311. Our haulers are responsible to look in the bottom of the bin or the cart. I need to use the correct word, the cart, before they leave the site, and they're supposed to leave it empty unless there's something that they couldn't pick up, in which case you should receive a sticker on it telling you that there was something wrong with the item that you put out. So it is their responsibility to look and make sure that those are emptied. Sometimes they're going very quickly, but we'll warn them so that next time they keep a better eye on it.
Yep, and you can always line the bottom of your cart with newspaper or maybe a flat piece of cardboard to ensure that those items do not stick that are in that liner. What about
grass clippings in the summer?
Yeah, great point. Great point. What about white paper and shredded paper? Are they composted?
They can be. Newspaper, white paper, We can. Ideally, though, those materials would go into our recycling container.
Mhm.
We do have a state-of-the-art recycling facility as well. So we would ideally send white paper, construction paper, and shredded paper to the recycling facility for processing.
But no matter which facility you're sending it to, it needs to be so it's not going to blow around the street. So please
Absolutely.
don't put shredded paper
Mhm.
in large amounts. You might want to use small amounts in your compost bin as part of your lasagna, but don't put a massive pile of shredded paper directly into a cart, because when they go to empty it, it will blow down the street, and then we have an additional littering problem in the neighborhood. So please, you know, you can put it inside of one of those paper yard trim bags, or compress it, you know, so that it's not going to blow around, but it's important that it not be loose and something that's going to blow and make a mess.
Can two houses sharing a green bin get a kitchen pail each? And if there are houses sharing the same equipment, you can always reach out to PGC Compost, the email address that's been mentioned, to ensure that you can receive the necessary equipment for your home. And both mini bins can also be distributed as well. See what else we have here. Director Grooms and Ms. Denise. Can participating residents be compensated with an exchange of load of compost?
So no, and I'm going to address this one and the one earlier about composting. So what we are trying, the county used to provide 2 days of trash service, and the county stopped providing 2 days of trash service in order to keep prices the same. Our goal was to add another day of waste services, a sustainable day of waste services, without increasing costs. And so one of the ways that we do that is by selling the compost. So we are utilizing your compost to keep us from having to raise costs for you to be able to perform this service. So at this time, it's just not economically feasible for us to do it that way. And I know that some of the composting companies, that's the way they do it. And even here in the municipality that I'm in, the option of getting one bag. We do offer Mulch Madness, which allows you to go and get regular mulch from the facility for free in the spring. And we advertise that really heavily. You can come and get mulch yourself and take it for your garden. It is my hope that in the future, we'll be able to provide compost free of charge to residents in different areas of the county so they can pick it up. But we need to get to a point where we are offsetting our costs. So there is a law in the state now that businesses that produce two tons of food scraps this year, and I believe next year 1 ton of food scraps, have to compost, which means that we'll have an income from these items going into the composting facility and a reduction in costs because the items aren't going into the landfill. Our hope is that that balance will help make us more revenue neutral so that we can provide more compost back to residents. I would love to be able to do that, but right now it's about being able to have a program that is sustainable without increasing the cost to our customers, which is you.
Yeah. We were earlier told food scraps can be put into large yard waste toter if clearly labeled food scraps and yard waste. Is that okay? And food scraps may only be placed inside your 32-gallon issued PGC compost cart or organics cart that you receive. Should you have yard waste, you may use an additional bin. It must be clearly labeled yard waste in order for those yard trimmings and grass clippings to be collected.
And if there's a little more clarification, perhaps, if you're using a yard trim bag to collect your materials in, you can mix food and yard trim in the bag and place the bag in your cart, but you cannot place the bag with food in it on the curb. So yes, the bag can contain, as long as it's compostable material, the bag can contain your food scraps and yard trim, food scraps only, or yard trim only. If you choose to do it that way and place, as long as it has food in it, it must go in the cart for collection.
I've noticed that the squirrels have chewed into my trash can. Is this bin sturdy enough to keep the varmint from chewing into the bin?
That's a great question. I've not heard any concerns or complaints with respect to that regarding the composting carts. Fingers crossed. Yes, hopefully it is.
And my understanding is that they have changed some of the makeup of the plastics that they use to produce these carts. Because yes, I have one outside that has all those lovely little tooth marks, my regular trash can. But thus far, I haven't had any concerns with my compost bin, their cart, despite the fact that I live next to a forest. So.
Yep, those new resins are quite sturdy that we're utilizing for those carts.
Yeah.
Who can be contacted to have one of your representatives speak at a HOA meeting?
Send that request to PGC Compost and we will get somebody out to talk to your neighbors.
Yes, ma'am. See what else we have in here. Okay, the free compost question is popping up quite avidly. Let me see what else we have. Are there carts with locks on them? If not, will they collect from other bins? So if you are providing food scraps specifically, or food scraps and yard trim, it must be provided in the 32-gallon issue cart in which you have received. There's not an additional alternative cart that we will collect your food-based materials in. Let's see what else we have.
There's a number of folks who are asking about the availability of the compost-friendly bags, liners at grocery stores. We're starting to see more of them at grocery stores. We had 2 events recently, one at a mom's grocery store. Where was that one? I don't remember. But
Mom's in Bowie.
The Moms in Bowie, and then we also had one down on the Crane Highway Safeway. And so we've been talking to the major grocery store chains. I actually had a conversation with the Lidl that's next door to me a few days ago, as well as with our 7-Elevens and Wawas and the one I always forget, Royal Farms, and our hardware stores as well, about getting these available. So we are trying to get more folks to carry these as we're kind of moving into doing this program. We were very successful with doing that when we started our conversion to not allowing plastic bags for yard trim. We saw great uptake by our hardware stores and grocery stores. So we expect to see the same here. And we also expect to see prices start to come down as there are more and more jurisdictions doing this. So our hope is that both of those things will get a little better. And some folks have mentioned finding them at Target, finding them at Mom's, buying them on Amazon. But we do hope that it'll be a much more available product and something that can just become a part of your regular grocery run in the future.
Okay, let's see what else we have here. When I have my cart out for pickup, neighbors tend to put non-compost items in the bin. What can I do to deter this? Uh-oh.
Well, I guess that's our job, and we need to do a better job of education. So one of the things that we're doing this year is investing a lot in our community education around waste. So you'll see a lot more public information about recycling, public information about composting, public information about not littering, and hopefully that will get through to your neighbors. But we're also happy to come to an HOA meeting. I don't really have a good answer for what to do with that. I always get upset because I have a neighbor who puts their dog poo bags in my trash can and sometimes in my recycle bin. I don't love it. I don't have a great answer for that one.
Okay, let's see what else we have here. I find the carts to be very tippy. I have to prop my bin. Is there a way to weigh them down? Can you redesign future cans so they have some weight in the bottom?
Noted.
Yep.
We love to hear feedback about our carts. So that is certainly something that we can take back. I think the balance of trying to make sure that we didn't ask you to put another giant cart in your garage or your holding location, and it's a balance. So I guess the best I can say for that is noted, because you can't really put a brick in the bottom because it would go into the trash, into the collection vehicle. So I don't necessarily have a great option for that one, but it is something that we will keep in mind as feedback as we are continuing to improve the program. Thank you for letting us know.
Let's see what else we have here. Somebody suggested weights and locks. Okay. See what else. If the Monday haulers are dropping food waste pickup items, who do we contact? So as far as spillages during a routine service cycle, you would contact the PGC 311 call center by simply dialing 311. And you can always place a service request with regards to the concern at hand.
And also,
or even better, the app, because you can upload a photo. I think you're saying the same thing as me.
Exactly. Same thing I was going to say. Exactly.
Let's see what else we have here. If you see any other ones have not been addressed.
There was a question about compostable bags. It says, are the compostable bags allowed in the green curbside container, or will I be denied pickup and receive a sticker? No, you absolutely can use the compostable bags. If your hauler denies you and it was right, again, you report it to 311 and we'll educate the hauler, because they're learning also. So they are also learning about this, and we have seen some mistakes here and there from our haulers, and they've been great partners in, making sure that their staff understand this. But yes, compostable liners are permitted to be in the green cart.
Yes. Okay, let's see what else. I think we have some accolades actually going to one of our designated haulers. Shout out to my pickup team. I've been participating since pilot with no problem. Shout out to that designated hauler. We appreciate your services. That is what we love to hear. Let's see what else we have.
A couple folks asked if there's a difference, whether you put your yard trim in the compost cart or in a lawn bag. The difference is you don't need a bag for the ones that are in your carts. Of course, if you have more than that, you can put out bags as well. But no, they all end up at the same spot. And in fact, at this point, all of our yard trim and all of our composted gets mixed together, and we're making one product out of both of those items. The only real exception is the large pieces of tree material and the Christmas trees that we make into the mulch that we use for Mulch Madness.
Okay, I think we've, let's see what else we have. I'm scrolling up now. We've covered the bottom, the most recent. Can residents who participate in the program receive a token to be exchanged for a load of compost? Okay, we're getting that point through clearly. Let's see what else is here. It'll be on premise, contact and spoken. Let's see what else is coming through. Please send the questions through. A bit of thanks, okay. We appreciate that. Do you happen to see any other questions out there? Any of the panel?
Several folks asked about timelines for when they'll be receiving their carts. I think we can work on seeing whether we can get at least an estimated timeline up on our website for the remaining carts that will go out in the spring and the fall. They'll at least give you kind of rough areas of where we're going, but you will, like I said, receive a postcard in the mail before you receive your cart. But I can see that there's a lot of anticipation, so I can work on that and see if that's something that we're able to do. I'm not making any promises, but I will try.
I did see a question from asking if kitchen pails or an extra kitchen pail can be purchased after the rollout is completed. You can actually store your food scraps in any container that you choose. You can purchase one for use in your kitchen, whichever you like. but you don't necessarily have to use the one that we issued. It was provided as a courtesy to help facilitate the process. So if you choose to store your items in a as I do, in a coffee can or a coffee container, you can choose any container you like to store them in your home before transferring them into your compost cart.
Yeah. See what else is coming in. What about animals going in the bin? The question of varmint attraction has popped up again. See what else we have here.
I mean, arguably, the animals shouldn't be any more interested in this than they were in your traditional trash. This used to be in your traditional trash. So we're hoping that we don't have, a more significant problem there. But again, those ideas like putting a rock on top of it, making sure you've got layers. If you're seeing a real problem, freezing the items and just putting them out the morning of. Reporting to us if there's, free roaming domestic animals that are getting into your trash. We also handle that here in the Department of Environment. Yeah, so we're hopeful, but we're going to learn as we go. And if we need to make adjustments to better do the program, we will do them.
Can I still participate in the opt-in process, or will I have to wait a year?
It's not a year anymore. It's the end of the year. So 10 months is, we hope to get everybody done before Christmas. So we're working as fast as we can. And like I said, it was a matter of really needing to make the purchase over 2 fiscal years to be responsible with your money, which is one of our jobs, is to be responsible with the money that comes from all of our residents. So we made that purchase over 2 years, and we will get to everybody by the end of the year. But I appreciate how enthusiastic you are.
Will Riverdale get composting bins? They have their own trash and recycling haulers, so it's a municipality-based question.
If the municipality decides that they want to provide this service, we are here to help them, opt into contracts, use our materials, in terms of education materials, anything we can do for technical assistance for our municipalities. So I know a lot of the municipalities are either in the pilot phase or are considering this. A lot of things are going through various different city councils and city leadership. So it really is municipality by municipality, but if you would like your elected officials in your town to get more information, you can direct them to us, and we are here to help because we want everyone to be a part of this. But we can only handle the ones that we are directly responsible for.
Okay, let's see what else we have here. You said the compostable food bags can be used inside the grain bin. Can you tie them?
Yes. Tie them shut or tie them to the cart?
That's a good question. I'm assuming just tie
They can be tied.
them.
They can be, ideally they would be, so that there's less chance of spillage. Seal them, tie them in a knot and seal them closed. Put some yard trim on top to help, with the yuck factor that may develop, and we're good to go, as long as it's a compostable bag.
Okay. See what else we have here. Please keep those questions coming in. We're at about 7:45.
There was one person who was asking for you to explain the purpose of the small kitchen pail again.
So the kitchen pail is essentially used for storage of materials that you want to keep on the inside of your home. It is refrigerator friendly, and by that I mean that it does have, resistance to certain temperatures that may be cold. So if you wish to keep some of your, your old veggies or your meat and bones in a secure location inside your refrigerator, you can place that mini bin inside of the fridge. And then hopefully the day of, you will transfer those materials that you have collected in your mini bin to your cart for collection. Please be aware, as we've mentioned, you cannot utilize your mini bin for curbside collection, but you may transfer all of your materials the day of collection or when you wish to your cart for collection. I use brown bags from grocery stores for the green cart. I choose to get brown bags instead of plastic bags from grocery stores. That's a great point. You can utilize brown bags to package as well. As long as it's stored inside your cart for collection, it will be collected. See what else we have here.
Somebody asked if we were hiring.
I saw
And
that.
yeah, so the Prince George's County government website has a listing of all of the positions that we have available. We are always hiring and we always love to have new faces on our team. So I can drop that into the chat to the county website. Lots of our offices are hiring across government also, besides just us. And I will say that our salaries and benefits are quite competitive. So come and work with us.
Good point. I caught my neighbor dumping leftover food in my cart. What should I do? Uh-oh. That is an interesting one. Let's see.
Well, I guess that's up to you.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're dumping the right thing in your cart and it doesn't bother you, that's fine. If they are bothering you, I presume that you could first go to your HOA, if you have an HOA, or you can talk to your neighbor, and if that doesn't work, you could try a nuisance complaint. I guess that would technically be trespassing or a nuisance, but hopefully you can resolve it by having a conversation with them if you're not comfortable with it.
Okay, let's see what else we have here. Scrolling up a little bit.
And if you're in a neighborhood where you've handed out carts, they should have their own. So maybe they just didn't get one when everyone else got one, and we missed them. And then they can reach out to 311 and we can give them their own cart so they can put their own food scraps in their own cart.
Can the county create bins with a lock, if some kind?
We can definitely take that under consideration for future products. I will say that at this point, we can't have them because of our current trash hauler contract, but certainly something we can take into consideration for the future.
How do we know if our compost is rejected? Is it left in the can?
It should also have a sticker on it explaining why it was rejected.
Exactly. So
the haulers are supposed to stick a sticker on there that says what was wrong. You might find that on a recycling bin or on a trash bin as well. If there's something that is unsafe to be collected, or in the incorrect packaging or something like that, or in the wrong type of cart, the hauler should be putting a sticker on top of it. If your waste is not collected and you think that it was correct and there's no sticker, please call 311 or use the app so that we can send someone out to investigate and get your waste item, whether it's trash, compost, or recycling, properly removed.
Okay. Okay, the varmint question's coming up again. Let's see. What is the contact info? My community is next to woods, fast food restaurants, etc. How will we prevent rodents and other pests? Another varmint question. Can I pick up a bin instead of waiting on one? Yeah, unfortunately, you cannot come to pick up a bin, but you can always send us an inquiry if you were part of the most recent rollout and you may have been skipped. You can always send us an email at the PGC Compost email address to further inquire. If not, you should be receiving one in the near future, as the director has stated.
A resident asked whether they could take their green cart when they relocate. No. If you should leave all of the waste receptacles, the trash cart, the recycling cart, and the green cart at your location when you leave. And then at your new location, you can order any items that were not left by the previous resident, or if it's new construction, you can order all new, the new items. So we assign these by residents. So there's actually a number on your bin that tells us, where it was assigned, and that's put into our computer system. So we don't want them moving around the county. We actually have some things that we have not activated, but they have like an RFID code. There's a lot of different things that we could use in the future to make our trash collection more efficient and more effective, and even find out things about, you know, was something left in a cart remotely, all kinds of stuff. So we want to have the correct cart with the correct house. It's just a lot easier for us. So when you get to your new residence, you can inventory what's there. If you need something, there's actually a special spot in 311 to request replacement carts. And when you get to residence, if they're not there, they're provided free of charge. So you don't get charged like as if you were ordering an additional cart. If your neighborhood is not in the composting program yet, unfortunately, it won't be, your green cart won't be delivered until that neighborhood is in there, but that is a only 10-month more problem. And then after that, everyone will be in the program. But you should take your household inside bin. Sorry, to be clear, your kitchen pail you should take with you. You shouldn't leave your kitchen pail for the next person. You should take that with you to your next residence. But the outside carts, those you should all leave at the house.
Question on when, okay, let's see. When I have my cart out for pickup, neighbors tend to put non-compost in the bin. What can I do to deter this? That's another one coming up. Okay.
We're gonna work on education on this. That's the best we can do for y'all.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell people not to do that. I'm sorry.
And if they're interested, we can always be able to get the necessary equipment out there if they're adamant about participating. Let's see. Thinking we're 8 minutes shy of 8 o'clock. Let's see.
If there's anyone who we missed your question, if you want to put it back in the chat again, I think we got them all, but there's so many that we may have missed some. So feel free, if we skipped you, I don't want to skip anyone. So please feel free to put your question back in the chat. But I think we've actually answered all the questions, unless, like I said, we missed one. So we'll give folks a couple of moments to see if they have something else they want to put in the chat.
Yep. And I'm multitasking here. So I see Miss Ridley, you had a request. Unfortunately, you didn't receive the kitchen pail during the issuance of your equipment. We are on it. We'll get that out to you as soon as possible. Thank you for sending that email over. Let's see what else we have. If we don't add newspapers to the green bin, we can add to the recycle bin, right? Correct. 100% correct. Those are acceptable through your recycling cart. See what else we have. Do you see anything else out there, guys? Starting to look a little quiet.
All right.
Well, it looks as though we've covered all of the questions.
Yep.
Our contact information is up on the screen. And I believe, Ren, it is your stage to wrap up.
Yes, so thank you all for joining us this evening and taking time out of your schedules. Should you wish to access any of the materials that were mentioned or the PowerPoint, please feel free to access the link here, mypgc.us/compost, for additional information about the program. In addition, if you have questions that we may not have been able to address this evening, please feel free to send us an email address at pgccompost@co.pg.md.us. And we will also have this recording posted on the link that was provided as well. Again, thank you for your support. If you're interested and you might not have had an opportunity to participate or haven't received equipment thus yet, please keep your eyes open and ears peeled, as there may be an opportunity coming down the pike in the near future. So thank you all for your time and have a good evening.
Good night, everyone. Thank you, Director Crooms and our dynamic staff for this awesome seminar, and all of our guests as well. Good night.
Good night. Thank you, everyone.
Right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to our interpreter as well.
Yes.
Thank you, Catherine.